one day when my brother told me that, I left the stove on when we were having a Christmas photo when I was 4 months old. But this is where it all began, and I wanted to show this photo because sometimes people ask, what does Pax look like? He's a way cuter version of that, but he does look a lot like me when I was a baby, very alarmed all the time. I was on edge from the very beginning. But my story started, and again I'm going to whip through it because I want to get to some other stuff. But, you know, when I talk about who brought me into Isogenics, this is her. And I don't think I've ever put her up on the slide before, but this is Jo. And she's still one of my good friends, but it was Jo who was, like the person from Orange said, it wasn't about her, and shared Isogenics with me. And Jo and I were party friends for a long time. So if you ever think that the party phase of your life is not important, think again, because it's everything. We partied all around the world together. I mean, we were on the floor in Ibiza together in clubs, like we've just been everywhere together. So Jo and I were on a holiday in Asia about a couple of months after I'd just deferred my PhD, and I was doing a PhD because I was a scientist. Everything in my body was about taking care of people's health and wellness. I was a real just go-getter, I'd say, and I enrolled in university, I did my honours, I published research, and then I got my PhD scholarship, and that was my absolute dream in life, was to be Dr. Peta Kelly by the time I was 25, and I was very much on track to doing that. I was just ticking all the boxes, tick, 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 and then I hit a point that many of you have heard where my soul was just like, no, it's just not your path anymore. And I'm sure many of you have been in that position where you're trying to keep pushing on with one thing, but everything in your life is telling you to turn here, and it starts to manifest in your body until you just can't ignore it anymore. Except I didn't know what was next for me, so it was quite scary, because I was like, what do I do? I had no business background, no one in my family did. It was a complete leap into complete unknown. So when you're sitting here and you're new and you're wondering, like, just know that no one had any idea at the beginning. No one did. It's not unique to you. It was the same as everyone. I'll get to that. So Jo, we were in Phuket or somewhere in Asia, and she said, you should just try these products. You're such a health nerd, but you're still always complaining that you're bloated and that, and when I put it down to what, in one word, it was for me, my body chemistry. It was my body chemistry. I was lean, I exercised a lot, I knew how to eat, but there was something inside. My body wasn't in homeostasis. This is a science term for balance. I just wasn't there. And so for me, Isogenics was all about the invisible things that people couldn't see, but I could see, and I could feel as someone who was really in tune with my body. So when people talk about Isogenics being all about weight loss and transformation and six-packs, I've been on that journey too, which I'm going to show you, but for me it's always been about the ancient Eastern ingredients in Isogenics, the prevention and the parts that line up our body at such an invisible level. That's what it's always been about for me most, and that's what drew me in. So I'm just going to show some slideshows to tell my story a bit better than I can. So this is Jo, and I love her so much for, like you said, just having the courage to share it with me, even though she wasn't building the business. She was just a friend who opened her mouth to another friend, and it trickled on into something really special. And then her mum, Judy, I don't know if Judy's here, but Judy took me under her wing, and with Irene and Dave. And Dave, sorry, I only had this picture of Irene in Tuscany. I know you're not in it. I was going to Photoshop in, but didn't quite have a minute. But they took me under their wing, and they took me to every event. And I was like a young person. I was 23. I think I just turned 23. There was no young people doing Isogenics or network marketing anywhere in the country, anywhere in New Zealand. I didn't even know of anyone doing it anywhere. And so they would just keep nurturing me, come to this event, and telling me how much they believed in me, which was everything, literally everything at that point. Okay, we're just going to go the whole time, describe the whole time. Ruin my new dress. But it was everything, because they saw something for me that I didn't see yet, and I'm going to get to that. But being able to do that for people is literally what's going to determine whether or not you earn money in this or not. It's whether you can look people in the eye and tell them something that's possible for them when they can't even see it yet. And they did that for me without even being millennials. Like, they did it for me as a human. And then nurturing with Judy is, without that I wouldn't be here for sure. So thank you. So then it progressed, and we started the Forever Young Dream Team. Yeah, make some noise. You can be proud. You can be proud. You can. So essentially what happened was when I started to understand what this business could do was in Phoenix, and that's when I met Eric. And I was like, you got to meet Eric. I was like, I don't have to meet Eric. Like, I was so like, I've got attitude. I went to the start party. It was so lame. I don't have to meet anyone. I'm just going to get here, go back to my life. And then the penny dropped, and long story short, I came back home to Perth, the most isolated city in the whole world, and got to work. And that was in August 2012. I still remember, because I had my birthday there where I turned 24. I don't know, 24, something. And so when I got home, we had no idea what we were doing. We really didn't have any idea what we were doing. But what we did was look people in the eye every Wednesday at our Wellness Wednesday and tell them what we believed. I would tell them, I'm going to retire my mum. She's a single mum of 4. She's the biggest legend on the planet. I'm going to retire her. And you know what else is important? Is that we shouldn't have to follow this XYZ plan that's been laid out ahead of us, and we shouldn't have to be suffering at the end of each month financially. We shouldn't have to be busting our balls doing things that we don't want to do. Like, we should be able to live around the world and live that life that most people say is too good to be true. I believe that, except no one was talking about it. So I had to not only tell people about it and be called a whack job a lot, but I had to live it first. And I had to make that literally my job, was to go first and make it up and fail and be bullied and teased and live it, so that I could show people it was real, and then also look them in the eye and tell them that it was real. And I had to just be the living, walking, talking proof of it. But at the beginning, it was all faith, and I'll get there. So this is our Wellness Wednesday in Mary and Jacob's old house, which was the church, which was really funny because some things I say shouldn't be in a church. But we were in an old church, and it started like this, and then it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew, and we had to move venues like 5 times in 6 months because there was 300 people coming sometimes in Perth. That's like the population. And they came because, not because we had polished presentation, they came because we would look them in the eye and tell them what was possible for their life. And they weren't getting that anywhere else. And I really want you to get this. My whole piece for you today is in the story. They would come to that event and they had a sense of belonging. No matter what had gone on in their life, they came there and had a sense of belonging. So when people talk about doing their whole business online and how you just swipe and this and it's all automated, that's a trend that's like, people think that's so trendy, that's like so amazing, I'm just going to go there, but that's not the most trendy thing. Like Jeff Bezos says, and I always hold on to this, that the one trend in books that's never going to go out of fashion is that people are going to want them slower or more expensive. For me, the one trend in the next 10 years that's never going to go out of fashion is that people are going to want to sit across from people in real life. So when you talk about, oh, but my business is the best because I can like, literally do it all without ever having anything to do with you and just click this link and never look you in the eye and I'm going to be so successful in the next 10 years, that's not the trend. What's going to be on trend and never stay off trend is human-to-human connection. And if you've all experienced it, I know I experienced it times in my life, when I wasn't having that community, I felt really low, really flat, really congested, and really not myself. So if you want to be on the leading edge, technology-wise, remember that that's always going to be on the leading edge, is building your business like this. And you don't have to be a superstar to do that. So, that was 7 years ago. Then, this also happened in 2013. Eric and I met again. I agreed to have a photo with me. He was begging for my autograph. I was 2 stars, so I was a big deal. But in Isogenics, that 2-star was like the biggest rank at that point, so it was a big deal. We had a photo, and I cut the bottom off because I was wearing the most hideous jeans and thongs. 2014, I remember standing on stage and telling everyone that I was going to retire my mum and bringing her on stage, and I gave her some flowers and she gave them back to me because she thought they were for me. It was just so cute. Which is always the most special part of this journey for me. This is me, Mary and Jacob, and I think that was Rose, just working on the floor of my Leighton Beach apartment. Wellness Wednesday grew and grew and grew. I keep talking about my mum every single time because that was most important to me. I want to put this in because I wanted to remind you how patriotic everyone used to be at the events. How important that is. One of my first goals in Isogenics was, with my income, was to have Invisalign. And I put that in there because when you see people having these big goals of philanthropy and retiring their mum or living this life where you can travel around, like sometimes your first goal may be just something so simple and maybe so selfish, and that's fine too. Because you can't move past your first excitement. You have to go to the first excitement, otherwise it's not going to work. So if you try and focus on an excitement that's too big, it's not going to work right now. You can leapfrog your way there to the bigger excitements, but at the beginning, what's the most exciting thing in your life right now? And for me, it was little things like having a spare pair of runners because I ran a lot, and having Invisalign because my teeth at the front crossed over, and it just annoyed me, and I wanted it, and that's as far as I have to go justifying it. And that's what I want you to dig deep and think, where am I trying to make my why something that sounds more noble or big than it actually is right now? Because you can't move unless it's actually like a real clear, this is what is exciting me right now. Get to the big stuff, you will, and hold on to that and let it pull you. But don't minimize or rationalize your way out of the fact that you will have little things that are exciting you right now, and let them be exciting because they matter, they do. We partied, we had so much fun, we celebrated rank advancements, we went to Vegas, it was just Vegas, pool parties, we went to Bali on Ice Derby. It was just so many of these special moments, you know. When I spoke about how I went through like the real abs phase too when I was young, and we did Icy Body and Eric and I really wanted to have a photo like Giselle Bundchen. And she was doing this, and I tried so many angles to get it right. I remember standing in Tahoe being like, do it again, do it again, do it again. So I also went through that part of Isogenics where I wanted to transform my body. I did, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you're anti-body positivity because you love your body and you want it to be able to change. There's nothing wrong with that. You can be so body love and body positivity and still feel like you want to change your body. You can have both. But the thing that I didn't nail the photo, but I will. The thing, like I put this photo in here because the thing that always pulled me into Isogenics was, see these ingredients on the left? Those are the sorts of things that always got me excited. And over the years when people have made assumptions about Isogenics, it's not, it's this, I've always been like, no, but have you actually looked at the ingredients? And when people always ask me, Peter, tell me about the spiritual side of Isogenics, tell me about the Eastern medicine side of Isogenics, I tell them, like, you just have to go and like Google the ingredients in Ionics. Like, take each ingredient, each one individually, and Google them and have a look. And I remember Jen Jeffries used to froth out talking about the adaptogens and these herbs. And that's what got me excited about the products, was Jen Jeffries frothing out about the little, like, ashwagandha, black walnut, turmeric. Jen is the one who made the products hit home for me. So thank you, Jen. We went to Bali. Eric and I were not together here. Everyone thought we were. I remember this trip, so this is funny. We went to Singapore, and Kathy said to me, you have to try my ring on. You have to try my ring on. Eric and I weren't even dating. You have to try my ring on. And I did, and now I have one on the same finger. And I found this photo. My fingers are really crooked. That's how heavy it was. We travelled around Italy together, me, Ben and Paul, after being in Tuscany with Irene, David, Suzanne. We had awkward photo shoots together. I put this in, Zach. We had this dinner on my birthday in San Diego, like 5 days before Eric and I probably got together. I remember I was uploading. Anyway, this funny story for another time. When Nat used to always do a keto, I knew you were going to be here, Nat. I had to put that in there. Just all of the beautiful times we've had. I just wanted to remind you. I didn't want to stand up here and do like some kind of lecture. I just want to get up here and get the emotion back in your body for this. That's all I want to do. I don't want you to leave here and be like, wow, Peter was so good and profound. I don't care. I want you to leave here and be like, I'm emotional again. I remember why I'm doing this again. I'm excited again. I'm passionate again. I'm protective again. That's what I want you to leave here and feel, which is why I'm doing a photo collage and not just standing up here with my 5 reminders how you can, you know. Do you remember at all the platinum dinners we had, and when everyone hit 8-star, they'd get a beautiful bracelet? All of those times that are so special. And when I was looking through all of my photos to get this, I was having so many teary moments, and I put on Green Day, Time of Your Life. I was just letting it go. I was just because you need to get emotional about this. You need to. If you can be the most logical, practical person in the world, but if your business isn't fueled of emotion, it's going to be tired and exhausting and not fun and fulfilling. So this is where I pulled these photos out, because I genuinely think people have forgotten. I genuinely think people have forgotten what this is and why they started and what it means and the experiences they've had. And it's so easy for people in Isogenics or in any business sometimes to become a princess and become entitled, or simply just to forget that if tomorrow this company just was not here, how much you would be like, I just did not appreciate it as much as I should have. And I want you to get back to that place in your life where you are that grateful and there's no bitching and moaning about silly things, and that we understand that there's always going to be differences with people in Isogenics. There's always is. There's always going to be things, we want corporate to do this, but they have to stay in their integrity and do that. And there's always going to be people that aren't on the same page as us, and it just doesn't matter. This is what matters. And you've just got to go back there yourself and stop repeating the stories that have been just suffocating and stifling and strangling your ability to enjoy this and to really enjoy it. So if you take nothing from when I get off in the next couple minutes, it's to get emotional again about this. And if you're new, to stay emotional with this. To really stay emotional, because it's a very emotionally wild journey and you're going to go through it all. This is when Nat wanted to be the same size as Sandy. This is when I accidentally picked up the wrong guy. I found this in my photo, I was like, oops. I remember this is just at Ice Uni, how fun they used to be, Jen. The hot dog presentation I put that in. My brother and I just having the best time. My family coming to all the events, which is always so special to me. My family winning a trip to Paris. Mum flying business class her first time. Look at her, just so lit, so excited. Never in her life thought she'd ever go to Paris, let alone fly on a business class flight. They were having drinks on the plane. Literally a dream for her that she never thought in her life she was ever going to have. And she had it here. This is why I just get so emotional when people just focus on all the most stupidest shit. Like, just stop it. Just stop it. There's just so much energy goes into so much that just doesn't matter, and we're just missing the point a lot of the time. This was my mum's dream, to go to New York for Christmas, her absolute dream. And we went. Had sweaters on, of course. It's a Paris trip. This was the photo where everybody knew that Eric and I were together. That's when Facebook broke. And then my Isogenics journey changed from being one about Forever Young Dream Team exclusively, which is still my heart and soul, but to helping with the bigger vision of the company and with more people. And it's been a really wild time for me to go from this person to that person and move from Australia to America. It's been wild. And then I started to create other things as well, because that's what Isogenics has always been about for me, is having the resources to do whatever I'm called to do. And I'm called to do a lot of things. Ask Eric. He'll laugh at me like at 10 a.m. I've said, well, why doesn't this exist? You know how you can go to a new country and you put goggles on and you can translate the language just by wearing the goggles? I should start that. And I'll just go on and on and on and on about all different things. But this is what it means for me, is I can put on events and write books and do other things because I can, and because I care about them, and because I have the resources to do it. This is the day Eric proposed. It was so awkward. Look how awkward he is. Hugs like that. Wait, what? We're engaged? Oh, I'm engaged! then I started to get involved, get my hands in, no, we really need plant-based everything like yesterday. And we need sustainability yesterday. And just being basically the office nag. And I went through challenges, and this was the time that I addressed those in America to 8,000 people. And this is what I want you to know. We've all been through challenges in Isogenics. We've all had things go the way we don't want them to go. We've all had things happen that have challenged us personally. We have to really humble ourselves during those times and remember that this company is taking care of a lot of people, not just us. And we have to take responsibility for ourselves and our own journey here and take care of our own energy and emotions. And then, first baby, we had Sol. She's the biggest legend ever, and she's not here because she would be on here if she was watching, literally. I wrote my first book. We got married. We've been able to give hundreds of thousands of dollars together to organisations we love. We've grown our family. Our latest edition 11 weeks ago was PAX. And that's, how does it get any better than that? So, there's nothing more important to me than these photos here, and that my mum can now be a full-time nana, not just our kids, but to her other grandkids, and it just doesn't get any better than that. And this is the thing in Isogenics, like we have these goals. I want to be a stay-at-home mum, and then you become a stay-at-home mum and you forget how good that is. Or I want to be able to leave this shitty job, and then you do it, and then you forget how good that is. And it's just like we forget what life was like before, and we forget how far we've come, and we forget how amazing it is. And you just have to be responsible for reminding yourself before you get into like a spiral of, you know, all the stuff. You know what your spiral is, I know what my spiral is. So this is a new era in Isogenics. I feel everything happens in 7-year cycles, and it's definitely that way for me. So 2013 was Wellness Wednesday. It's 7 years since then. And we've been on calls, on WhatsApps. Everybody in the Forever Young Dream Team is lit, just lit. Everything happens in 7-year cycles. So this is an opportunity for you to reinvent yourself. If you've been in here for a while, if you're new, you're here at a really special, fertile time. Truly, you really are. A lot of hard work's been done, a lot of maturing has been done as a company and as a field. And so you're here at a really, really solid, mature time. And if you've been here for a while and you feel, oh, maybe I've got a bit bored, or maybe I've got a bit tired, or you have to reinvent yourself now because it's a new era. And it's up to you, not just in Isogenics, but in every area of your life. In your, you know, we know it, whatever you're in a relationship with for a long time, you have to change things. Marriages. You know, you have to constantly be growing yourself. You have to constantly be upgrading your energy and reassessing the relationship that you have and making it better. And this is no different. So it's up to you to transform now. Like, put the products and everything aside. It's up to you to transform as a human now and go somewhere new. Because if you have been in Isogenics for a while, this is the start of a new decade. And the company is becoming new, but that's not going to do anything for you unless you become new as well. So this is 100% an energy game, all of it. When people ask me what did you do in Isogenics and why were you so successful essentially in it? And I always say exactly the same thing. The first thing is, I looked people in the eye every week and told them what was possible for their life, literally. And I did it when I was 1 star and 2 star, not when I was 10 star. I did it when I wasn't even there yet, but I just knew. And there were so many opportunities for me to stop, and for me to stop doing the events, and for me to not do it anymore. Bullying, hate pages, stalking, so many hardcore things that would sidetrack any 23-year-old. But there was always something bigger than that for me. Not saying it wasn't hard, for sure it was hard, but there was always something bigger. My mum. The fact that young people everywhere were struggling, and there was no one I could look to who was being the example. I had to be it. That's what when people say, there's no events on in my area, I always just want to grab you and go, just do the event. What did you think? If we waited for someone in Perth to do a Wellness Wednesday, we would literally be sitting here for another 45,000 years because it would never happen. You have to be the one to do it. Even before you're sure, even before you're there, you have to be the one who can be of that excitement where you can look people in the eye, even as a young, naive, 23-year-old that I was, and I'm 31 now, look people in the eye and say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I care about. What do you care about? Let's do it. You have to be able to look them in the eye with that level of certainty, and that's the difference between people who be successful in this and the people who don't. That's it. It's the energy. Because you can plug people into the systems, you can do all that stuff, but it doesn't matter if they don't trust you. All of that is the easy stuff. Follow this system, do this, easy. The bit that you need to really get good at is looking people in the eye and saying, listen to me. What do you want in your life? Like, look in the eye, what do you want in your life? What do you care about? Because I'm going to retire my mum. She is the biggest legend on this planet, and she deserves to have a really amazing life. So I'm going to do that with this. And I'm not there yet, but I will. What do you care about? What do you want to do? Because we're going to do it together, and this is how. And you need to be able to have that level of certainty when you look them in the eye. And when I get on calls and people say, thank you, I just really need you to be like that, I say to them, if you want your business to be like mine, you have to be like that. And you don't have to have $1 million in your bank to do it. You just have to know. And you have to be able to know that your job as a sponsor is being able to look people in the eye and tell them that there's something that they don't know yet. Because no one in this world is walking around telling people exciting things. Everybody is going around saying, did you hear about coronavirus? Did you hear about this? This is also just depressing, and oh my God, did you watch the news, and did you see ScoMo, and all this stuff. It's just all like, if you buy into the agenda of the world and the default, what everyone's talking about, it's low, it's scary, it's depressing. You have to be someone who can look people in the eye and say something exciting. You have to be able to do that. And you can only do that if you're excited. So you have to become fresh from here. If you've been in Isogenics a while, become fresh. Become fresh again. Get new. Become fresh. Leave everything else back there. It's just annoying. Except your photos. Become fresh again. Because if your business is getting stale, you're stale. And if you're new, never forget this. There's all an energy game. People are always responding to your energy all the time. Like Tara at the front here, legend. I was watching her dance over here. I was just like, I would sign up in her team. She's a telemarketer. They actually called my sister for Make-A-Wish. That's how small Australia was. And my sister was like, oh, yeah, I know Isogenics. Have you heard of Isogenics? It was hilarious. But she's got amazing energy. And I was just watching it from across the room. That's how magnetic it can be. You have to become fresh and cast your vision with a new energy. And your vision is probably different now. If I was in your shoes right now, my vision would be all about mums. All about how mums can literally have their best life from when they become a mum. And then it should become better when they become a mum. And their life should be the most lit it's ever been when they become a mum, because that's when they become royalty. That's what I would be saying if I was in your shoes. And that's what I would look people in the eye and say, which I do. Is don't think that your life has to suck now that you're a mum. This is where it gets lit. Seriously. You are better and more amazing, more powerful and more energized if you want to be now that you have children. And I would look people in the eye and I would say that. Your excitement has to be bigger than everything else, because there's always going to be everything else. There's always going to be an annoying associate who does posts that piss you off. There's always going to be people doing things that you don't agree with. It's just the nature of life. Take Isogenics aside, it's the nature of life. Your excitement has to be bigger than everything else. And when life feels like it sucks, it's because you're not excited anymore. And even if it's something exciting as, like I said, I'm going to get new runners, or as exciting as I'm going to be able to go to Bali 3 months a year, or as exciting as I'm going to give my mum $1,000 for Christmas, or whatever it is. Like, your excitement has to be bigger than everything. It's not going to be your business that is going to tire you out, it's going to be your head. So this is not a tiring business for the body. It's a tiring business for the head. And so when you are hitting, was that my baby? My boobs are leaking. When you, seriously, mums know what I mean. It's not going to be your business that tires you out. It's not. The business is invigorating when you're doing it right. It's your thoughts that are exhausting. And once you get that, your whole life changes. That what you're actually doing is not tiring. It's not tiring when you get on a call and you have people get off. If you're like me, you get off and you have more energy. It's tiring when you're telling yourself stories about why it won't work, when you're worrying about other associates, when you're trying to do the job of the legal team. That's all the tiring stuff. But when you're actually casting your vision and doing the business in your own way, whether it's with tacos or, like I said a couple of years ago, angel cards and adaptogens, whatever you want, that's not tiring. What I want you to know as well is, because people always say this, but everyone in Isogenics knows about Isogenics. Everyone in Australia knows about Isogenics. Like, we just enrolled our new lady who's helping us at home. She's like, I've heard about it, but I have no idea what it is. What I want you to know is that a lot of people have heard of Isogenics, but people haven't heard about what Isogenics can do for them. There's a big difference. People have heard, oh, Isogenics is this, but they've never ever associated Isogenics with something that they need. Because no one's been the person to look them in the eye. They've probably been sent a really long essay, like Alicia was saying yesterday, or they've probably seen it on a current affair 2013, or they've probably had some exposure to it, which was not personal at all. So yes, a lot of people have heard of Isogenics, but I'd guarantee you that probably 90% of them haven't heard specifically what it can do for them, and that's your job now. So if you want to ask about a saturated market, it's the most ridiculous concept I've ever heard of. Because look in this room and look at the size of our country, right? And with everybody whinging about politics, now is more important that you encourage people to take responsibility for their own economy, so they don't have to spend their time worrying about politics. Because when you are responsible for your own life, you just don't care as much. They don't have as much power as when you take responsibility of all of it yourself. I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again, you've got to be 2 feet in until you're ready to be 2 feet out. So this applies to everything in life. We can't know how something really works unless we're in the complete reality of it. And too many people are, I'm going to do it if this. I'm going to do it so long as this person doesn't piss me off. I'm going to do it so long as my first event packs out. I'm going to do it so long as this. Or they're always 1 foot ready to run, threatening someone or threatening themselves. I'm going to go. And basically, if you were already 2 feet in, you probably would have already had your goal. But it's the energetic leak of being half in, half out. That's why it's not working. So you just have to give that as a gift to yourself, to not be so half-assed at things, and just decide. And that's what it was for me, truly. Like, I look back at myself then, I look at photos and I think how little I actually knew about the world. Like, I was young, and it probably pissed a lot of people off that I was having so much success so young, but it's because I knew the secret. It wasn't in being like an amazing network marketer at that age. How could I be? How on earth could I be? I just done 6 years at university. How could I be an amazing network marketer at that age? The secret sauce was my energy and my posture and my certainty, and the fact that every week, no matter what, we had Wellness Wednesday, even when it sucked, and they all tell me that it did, because it did, and we love to laugh about it. Even when it sucked, even when we had no idea what we would, we'd go to the church, Mary would be cutting up fast, we would be just having, what should we do today? We don't know, but everybody kept coming because they were coming for the excitement. That somebody was telling them that you can live however you like, no matter who you are or where you've come from, and I'm going to do it too, and you can do it. And it wasn't like, come and let me talk about retiring my mum. I spoke about my retiring mum so that it would tick something in them that would excite them too. But the thing that excited all of us was this idea that no one was talking about, that you could have your laptop and be anywhere in the world and live however you wanted, and no one was talking about it. So it was really novel. The thing is, it's not really novel anymore. Every second person has today's office as their hashtag, the beach, but there's still so many people who that is really fresh for. And there's so many people who don't actually even want that. There's so many people who want something like Lindsay, and it broke my heart when you were talking, Lindsay, but it made me realize just how important this is, because we never know what's around the corner. So even just the thought of having something financially that is nourishing you through life's storms, because we know that there's storms, no matter who you are, that's That's exciting enough for me. That I always can be taking care of myself with my own efforts and with my own courage and with my own attributes. I can take care of myself and my family financially. That's exciting enough for me. So when Lindsay was talking, even though it was heartbreaking to think about her being in hospital that long with her family, I was like, that if that's not a powerful story, and please share Lindsay's story, because there's so many people who have never thought of it that way. Having something to nourish you through all of the financial storms, shouldn't everybody have that? And don't wait for the government to give it to you. Just don't. ScoMo's got bigger things on his priority list, I think, right? Unfortunately. So, I'm going to finish a little bit early, which is unlike me, but when you leave, honestly, take nothing else but to get emotional again about this and become new. You have to become new, otherwise everything's stale, everything's boring, everything's tiring, and it can get depressing. So become new and straighten your spine again. Start to care about Isolation the way you did at the very beginning. Start to have the fire in your belly as you did at the very beginning, and if it needs to become new, like mine is, make it new. You have to be responsible for that. Don't put entrepreneur on your Instagram bio if you're not going to be an entrepreneur when it matters, which is when it's time to reinvent. That's when being an entrepreneur matters. It's not when everything's going cruisy and your team's blowing up. That's not real entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is now, when it's a time for a reinvention, when it's a new era, when it's time for you to take so much responsibility for yourself with no one else to blame, no one, especially not Steve. Especially not Steve, because he is a bloody legend and he is doing the best job ever, and we are in such good hands with him, and I just think he deserves the biggest freaking round of applause ever. Because what people don't know, it's all easy to see things from our point of view, but what people don't know is corporate is dealing with a lot of associates, and when we think it's all about what we want and what we believe, they get a lot of arrows thrown at them, and they go home at night and it just sits there and sits there and it sits there, and I see that firsthand. So stop throwing arrows at corporate all the time if you're a leader, and I'm speaking to the leaders now. Take responsibility for yourself and realize that they are doing an amazing job holding this company and all of the different energies, because there's a lot, and that's a job I wouldn't be able to do. I stay in the fiery bits and I don't get into that bit because I'm just not built for it. I'm not, but they are, and it takes a very special kind of person who is. So, next time you think, I'm going to throw my attack at corporate, or I'm going to wish corporate would do something else, look inside and be like, this is 100% my responsibility. Everything that happens in my business is 100% my responsibility. And